Hello, students. This is Harvinder here. This is a very crucial time that we are going through. At this time, we need to follow many rules through this coronavirus for our health. So, firstly, wash your hands with soap and water for 20 seconds. Do physical exercise like dancing, domestic chores like cleanliness, gardening, etc. to stay more active. Meditation and deep breathe to stay calm, and eat healthy food to stay immune. Today, we will learn about floating and sinking through a poem, Buoyancy. Buoyancy means the power to float or rise in water. Have you wondered why something float or sink? Let us learn about floating and sinking today. What causes something to float and sink? Well, it's all about something we call density. Density means thickness. Don't worry, let me explain this through the poem Buoyancy. Everything around us made up of small molecules. Molecule means tiny little objects. Tightly packed objects have higher density, so it will sink. And loosely packed things have less density, so it will float. Can you tell me the things which will sink? Yes, that is stone, marbles, coins, etc. And the things which will float are ball, bottles, balloons, paper clips, etc. So let us start the recitation of the poem Buoyancy. Rock in the river, ice in a drink, some things float, some things sink. Floating things have buoyancy. Test a little toy and see. Now, let me explain why rock sinks in the river. It is because of its higher density. Ice and a toy will float in the water just because of its less density. There are many things which float or sink. Floating things have the power to rise in the water. Does it sink? Does it float? Could you see it as a boat? Try a pencil, it pops up. Try a hammer, try a cup. There are many things which float or sink in the water. Floating things have the power to rise in the water. So, a boat and pencil will float because of less weight than the amount of water. A hammer and cup will sink because of its more weight than the amount of the water. If something is denser than the water, it will sink. But if the water is denser, then, well, what do you think? Now, students, at the last, if you find something is heavy, then the water, it will sink. Or if the water is heavy, then think about it, what will happen? So, students, you have to read the poem and write the difficult words. Make a list of the things which can float or sink in water.